I still got a lot to improve on this, and this is with the tires spinning, a junk belt, and I still got a ton of clutching to figure out, but it's coming along. We're on our way. It's Saturday, the weekend. We're going to a secret testing location where I should have a lot of space, a lot of flat, smooth, straight space. And if I had an issue, say the chain breaks, and I don't have any brakes, I got a mile I can slow down. We're almost there. It's only like a couple miles from the house. I don't know why I didn't think of this before. Oh boy, would you look at this. This is going to be freaking perfect. I didn't remember it being cement. It's going to grip. It is smooth and flat and pretty long before it has a little curve here. You know, I only need about half of this for really what I want to test. 300 feet is not that long. And I mean, I doubt I'll stand to the throttle for that long just because I still am testing. We're going to unload here and play. This is perfect. I don't know why I didn't think of this before. Let's go out here and see what we're working with. Oh yeah. See, I can strap the camera to me, which I forgot the chest mount. But I was going to do a speed overlay to see how quick it accelerates. And then I can do one where I'm pulling away from it, and then one where I'm coming at it.
Here, let me get a different view. I'll go over there and video.
So this is a little broken up here and there, but that's not a bad test. That hit 53 miles an hour, and that's with a glitchy ass speed app that that's why you see it jump from like teens to 40 some miles per hour is the GPS pinging it. So how I looked at it was, by the time the 53 mile an hour came up, I let off, and in my camera frames was about 3 or 4 seconds. So I mean, it's pulling to 60 miles an hour in roughly 3.5, 4 seconds, spinning the tires, belt slippage a little, and I need to do a secondary clutch spring adjustment. I have it too tight and it's not letting me pull top speed. But that's as close as I can do a controlled proof of speed. I'll try some other apps and see if they work, but hopefully that's convincing. It's gonna 60 foot like a mother. This is me wondering, how the hell am I spinning the tires and leaving rubber on the asphalt and something hasn't broken yet? made it, why I made it, some of the things it took to make it. One of the really cool next key parts to it will be the four-wheel drive. And that's kind of what I'm steering this video towards. So hopefully it grabs an audience and we can get some hours on the book. But let me know in the comments. Oh yeah, like, share, subscribe. Thanks again. So that was just a real quick test. And it's kind of funny to me that this is just like having a fast car. Like, I set it up and geared it and did everything like I thought it was supposed to be. And I have been slightly changing it and making it not just a little faster, like 50%, 60% faster than when I originally fired this project up. And it's crazy that you got to test just like a car, with gearing, with the clutches, with the tune. I did run some garbage mower tires, and those over there, I wanted to stay around an 18. Those are 20s. These say 20, but I'm pretty sure they're like 21 or 2 because of the bulge. And with a 4-to-1, we went from 5-to-1 gearing to 4-to-1, and it's still from a dead stop matting it. And I can only stay in it in that parking lot for maybe a second or two. I mean, we'll be able to time it on the camera, but it gets rolling so fast and pulls so hard that if I lost brakes, I would be panicking for sure. Yeah, that's not even with any, that's with a junk belt that's probably been ran on 5 different snowmobile projects. The clutches aren't even completely cleaned off yet. What else? I mean, these wheels, I literally just kind of drilled them out, slammed them on there. But I want to pull a spark plug and see, because I just put brand new ones on it to see where I'm at, because I couldn't tell. The plugs were getting so old. Focus. Looks like it's going to be maybe a little on the lean side. Not sure about the timing, because it was a fuel injected motor. Let me know what you think. I feel like it's perfect for the short runs it's going to do, unless somebody thinks we can make a little more power by doing a needle adjustment. Because I do have the needles all the way out, because these carbs were for a 700 and this is a 650. I don't know if I can even complain about any of that. It's not white, it's literally tan. And if anybody knows, let me know on the timing side of it, if that strap's supposed to be tan. I don't remember if it's supposed to be tan all the way. I did stop running premix, and I'm on 94, no ethanol, just straight gas. And then I don't know. So it used, it's crazy. It used a half a tank of gas, so it holds it used a gallon of gas to do that. And probably a ½ inch of oil out of that bottle. But I'm pretty sure if it wasn't using the oil injection, we'd have blown it up for sure. But I'm just curious if I add a little more fuel to it, because we have no wetness on the plugs. It would make a little more power, but not bad. That was awesome. One other little key factor I wanted to chime in on. So I the mower sat for so long that on the primary and secondary clutch I could see how far the belt traveled. And I was noticing, it was exactly where about I let off, but I thought that I was into it a little longer, that the belt should have traveled a little further. But with me having this a little tighter, it takes longer for this to drop the belt and a little bit longer for that to climb. I think it's going to be freaking perfect because one, my belt length and tension and adjustment on that bar that doesn't let these things come together. You can see right where the belt rode, just me kind of revving it. And I mean, I don't know if it should go any higher, but I wouldn't think by much. That's like a 1/4 inch away from the top. I mean, if anything, maybe an 1/8 of an inch? But I'm good with that, which means that the belt is dropping all the way down in the secondary like it should. So where I was driving it in the parking lot and it was spinning the tires, if I had stayed in that son of a bitch, I'm pretty sure in another 20 foot that would have maxed out and done its thing. It's gonna 60 foot like a mother. that was kind of nice to be able to see that. That's working okay. I don't need to take any spring out of it as of right now. And if I do, I got a whole clutch I could just throw on it. We're gonna try 4-to-1. Yeah. Man, I got a really good feeling this thing's gonna go even better than it did. And those I had two sprockets, and they were on a shaft that made that little splitter gear reduction thing. Here's my gear reduction I just built, which we're underdriving this 3 times. We have the snowmobile chain case. Then we'll have from that jack shaft, which has a sprocket about this size. So we'll be going to the second chain to here, and then we'll be going from this 12 to a 17 on the axle. And I used hubs, slid them over to the shaft, and then welded the first one, and then the second one I just tack welded. And then it had Allens, and I set screwed them in. I should have keyed it. I didn't have time. I was being lazy about it. And one, I need like a machine, a mill, a lathe would be nice for some of these projects. The welds broke, and the little Allen set screws backed up enough that it spun, but it didn't spin enough to not get me home and still spin the rear tires on dirt, no problem. It was just that hard pavement launch. Still haven't given up on the 4-wheel drive. Come to find out, straight axle 4-wheel drive doesn't work well. And now I have a front diff, which has a limited slip in it, or a locker. But obviously, I have a jack shaft driven snowmobile setup, so I need to go from the chain somehow to hooking it up to a drive shaft, and I've come up with this. Will be sprocket driven off the jack shaft. This will get welded here, which will spin here, and I'm going to run the drive shaft to there. It should work great. This is all the odds and ends and pieces that's going to build my transfer box. The mower is going to be 4-wheel drive. So this is a spider gear setup out of, I think, a 7.5 or 8.5 front axle of a 2000 Silverado. I'm going to turn it into a transfer box, transfer case, whatever you want to call it. These were the axle shafts. They're just cut down. I got a bearing on there because we're going to kind of have a bearing support so it's not floppy. I'm going to have a bearing on this piece. This is usually where the pin's at, so this can all spin. I attempted to do a live axle in the front, and I thought I could just overcome the steering. Posi locked front end does not let you turn. You'll fight it. I mean, if I was on ice or snow all the time, maybe, but sand and dirt and grass, a lot of pavement and dirt roads, it was a bitch. It almost caused accidents, actually. So I'm doing a differential in the front now, which is going to have, like a typical truck, you're going to need a drive shaft going to it, which is the opposite of how I have the motor mounted, going through the primary, secondary, jack shaft, chain case to the rear axle. Everything's in a line. Well, I'm going to mount the sprocket. Say this is the sprocket. You know, the way my rear axle is the same way as this. And I'm going to weld this to what's going to be the drive shaft. And as this turns, this will be able to send power to my front axle. There's probably some case out there that you could buy and do it. Everything I kind of looked at that I would have had to modify anyways would have been kind of expensive. I had attempted a few different ideas, just junk that I seen laying around. I'd tear it apart, try to turn it into something. And one day I walked by this and I was spinning it, and I thought, that's it right there. And I'm going to actually mount this as close as I can to the jack shaft, so it has a short chain, so I don't have to have, you know, already there's going to be 4 chains on this thing. This one will be real short, and then most of the length will just be that drive shaft going to the front axle I have. I think it's over here. And I think the gearing's going to be pretty close because I need to be within 4-to-1 to 5-to-1, and then I got to figure out the tire size difference.
But this will be the front diff, and I believe I gotta go clockwise. Can I go clockwise? Yes, it has to go clockwise. So I need to remind myself what spider gear to weld, because that's pretty cool too. I'll show. If I needed it to go a different direction, if I needed to go counterclockwise, I would just weld the opposite spider gear and it would turn the other way. So I'm excited. Hopefully this works. I got to play with sprockets, sizes, and then the mower, I'll pull it in. If I get this welded up and I feel confident about it, I'll pull that in. I know I got some people out there that are doubting it, that it's worth even having four-wheel drive. It's going to use a little bit of power to turn the front axle, but the front wheels aren't in the air the whole time. It's the heaviest part of the mower is the front end. So as long as I can set the wheelie bar or drive it in a way that I can try to plant more than just the rear tires, this thing's going to be a rocket ship. And I mean, for an example, I'll dig something up. There's a lot of mud drags and sand drags I watch, and they'll have these 2,000 horsepower, 44-inch cut boggers in the rear. And yes, they wheelie all the time. And they'll have these little 33s in the front. And the ones that are the fastest are the four-wheel drive ones. So I'm kind of going with that theory. And I know I don't make no 2,000 horse, but it still makes probably a little over 100 horse and weighs hopefully under 450 pounds. So it'll still take. And I'm still planning a power adder in the future. And if I end up sand dragging it or dirt drags, either a set of hole shots all the way around it or a 20 or a 22-inch paddle on the rear and a 16 or an 18-inch paddle on the front, I think it'll be unstoppable. It's gonna 60-foot like a mother. But in the dirt, it'd be nice to take off right out of the hole. Somebody commented in one of the videos, because I didn't have the belt guard finished. We have a lot of belt guard now. As you can see where my leg would be. Eventually I will have this thing all enclosed, or I didn't have enough aluminum. But the belt ain't gonna hit me. And I'm gonna wear pants and boots, so it'd be nice to get a scale to be able to weigh it. I'd like to know what it weighs, because I feel like it is a little bit on the heavy side with all the bracing and everything. I'm really excited with how this transfer case turned out, because this, if anybody remembers, was the spider gears are in here. I know I got a video and pictures of it. I don't remember how the ring gear was on here, because this had the ring gear and then your pinion and then your axles and then your spider gears that keep it from being straight axle or locked, limited slip or whatever, open diff, whatever you want to call it. But like, this housing's tough, it's strong. I mean, it's for a 2002 Chevy Silverado with a 5.3 liter LS that probably makes 300 horse. The truck probably weighs 38 to 4,500 pounds. And then for a low wheel hopping with 31-inch tall tires, I mean, that stays together. So I would assume this in my lawnmower as the transfer case. And the gearing's kind of cool because you can flip it and do whatever, but not quite 1-to-1. 1 to 1 1/4 or 1 3/4, whatever. You could go in this way and underdrive it, or go in this way and underdrive it. But I'm pretty sure that this piece will be pretty stout for a minute. The only problem I'm gonna have with this damn mower will literally be just in the drive line will be the chains. Will the chains hold up? But I was telling my buddy about how I was excited and think that the four-wheel drive is going to be faster, and if it's not, disconnect the chain, run it two-wheel. And he didn't argue that. Brought up concern that I'm going to break front driveline components. And I said, come check out what I made. So this is the this will be coming off the jack shaft, which is the same shaft that runs to the rear. I'll put another sprocket on it, run it to this,
And then this is immediately going into the diff. So even the drive shaft is kind of eliminated of a fail point. And then we're CV shafts to the front. And then obviously I think the rear is going to have most of the grunt on it. Whatever this can grab is hopefully helpful. But I mean, I know I'm not going to break this. And I did have to machine it. I don't remember how I did it because I started it so long ago. But I welded both sides after kind of cutting it down. Just a big enough housing for the spider gears to fit in. Bearing, just to help out with a grade 8 bolt coming through that I'll catch a sprocket on. And then this, I'm gonna have a keyway that'll go over with a Allen that'll bite that from spinning. And then there's a little splined piece that goes into the back. This. Oh, it's right here. Aha. But that is my drive shaft. I don't think there's gonna be a problem without a balance or too long or twisting it. But that's a 373. We're whatever, one and a quarter, so we're 4, I think. Yeah, we're right at my 5 to 1. Well, the long and the short, there's my transfer case. All welded up. I threw some paint on it. It's got, started out with the spider gears, the axles. It was out of the front of like a 2005 or 2002 1500. So it would have held the ring gear, the pinion would have spun it. Cut it down, machined it down with my grinder and a belt sander. Bearings, a longer shaft. Welded one side of the spider gears to get the power transfer. That's another bearing just holding that end. But it's pretty smooth. I got a grease zerk, so I can pump it full of grease. And then basically that'll hook to the back of this diff and spin it. And then we will have the power transferred to the wheels. And real quick before I end this video, I want to thank everybody for watching and chiming in and leaving comments, especially these stats. I can't remember exactly what the numbers are, but I'll post them here in a second. So I appreciate it all. Keep watching. I'll get bigger and better things to post here shortly, hopefully. I can't say it enough again. Thank you.